And I look at Mossy, really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little, Big Nick the Quick with me. You know the gang. You know what time it is. I was talking to Nick. I'm like, look, NFL draft is coming. We done talked about A-Rod. We done talked about, we're just waiting on the NFL draft. So we're like, yo, let's talk all NBA, break down all hoops, because that's what interests us right now. So that's what we're gonna do. Big Nick the Quick.
Yeah.
Big Nick the Quick. What's happening?
Up, man? What's the business?
Man, you already know. Chilling, grinding, trying to find some more money so I can invest some more money.
How about those Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, no comment really.
I heard you on the what was that? The New York radio show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I heard you give a shout out. Yeah, I listened to the first part of it. I heard you give a shout out to the boys on the South Side. You know what I'm saying? I guess it was hard for you to talk about the Cubs. So you had to throw some praise over to the White Sox, man. So it's not too late, bro. It's not too late. You can come on over. You know what I mean? We'll take you. You know, you got your World Series ring, man. Come on over. Come on over where it's fun.
Yeah.
Come over, Lou Bob and the boys.
It's not because it's not fun. It's not fun right now. It's a very interesting situation we got going on over there.
I think the stat was at one point last week, NL pitchers had a higher batting average than the Chicago Cubs as a team.
Yeah, they're not hitting right now. But the thing about it is they haven't been hitting for a couple of years.
They haven't been hitting in a long time. I thought you brought up an excellent point about Castellanos, that if they look, when they let him go and he's exactly what they needed, you knew what the drill was.
You know what time it is.
You know what time it is.
The guy was literally already on the roster and you were seeing him on a daily basis. The reason you went and got him, he did exactly that. And then when it was time to really do something with it, you let him walk out the door. So you know what time it is. Yeah.
Yep. I did hear on the radio, and I still haven't been down there since they've redone it, but they were just trashing New Wrigley today even more on the radio. And I've heard it's not what I'm used to. But as someone who hasn't been there, and man, I probably haven't been down that way because it's crazy. If you're not going down there, you can completely avoid that area your entire life. Like if you're not going down there for a game or you're not going down specifically to do something in that area, like I'm in the city, you can completely avoid that. So like when they're talking about on the radio today, like how it's just pretty much a big corporate jerk off. I haven't been down there, man. So maybe you can enlighten me. Like what does it look like? Is it that much different?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take up the whole podcast, but yeah, I mean, it's completely different. It's all corporate and it's completely for Joe Schmo that comes from Ohio that wants to catch a game for the weekend, and he doesn't have to leave Clark Street. It's
not gritty at all anymore.
Oh no.
It's like that.
No grit. No grit whatsoever. The Murphys are still there. There's a couple of bars.
Oh, Murphys.
There's a couple of bars that still got some grit. But
the Jamaican spot still over there or what?
Talking about
Kingston Mines?
No, it's not Kingston.
Not Kingston Mines. The other one that was cracking.
It was like Exodus.
That was cracking. Spot was cracking.
All that stuff is gone.
What a joke.
Bro. It's a Shake Shack over there.
A Shake Shack.
The Shake Shack.
Oh, you already tell me what it. I already know what it is. All right, now I'm good, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But that's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. We're gonna get to a bunch of NBA stuff today. I said, yo, man, let's talk some NBA. NFL's kind of quiet till the draft. Let's talk some NBA. Steph Curry poured in 53 the other night, yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice.
To pass Wilt Chamberlain as the all-time leading scorer for the Golden State Warriors. I want to touch on that. Sad news: Jamal Murray blows his knee out. One of those instantly as I saw it, I was like, oh, his knee is done. That's gone. Like it wasn't any question if it was a blowout or not. So Jamal Murray blows his knee out.
Would you have known that Wilt Chamberlain was the all-time leading scorer at the Golden State Warriors? I would have thought it was either Steph or like Nate Thurman or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I don't even remember Wilt on the. I mean, I don't remember Wilt at all. But like, I don't. It's not what you think of.
Yeah, he was there for a long time, and if my mind is not
something, right?
If mine's not tweaking on me, they split cities too. So like
Yeah.
he started in one spot, then ended up in another spot, but it was still all the same franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did know that. So we're gonna talk about that. We're talking about Jamal Murray. Does his ACL injury shake up the West? Because that's a big injury on a
Huge
big player
injury
on a team that's coming off a Western Conference Final appearance last year. So
and a team that just
looking
traded their depth for Aaron Gordon too. So
right, exactly. So that's a big injury. We're gonna talk about that. Updated MVP talk. We'll talk about that, and then we'll close it out with some big Bulls talk. Interesting spot. We make a big move. The big move is not necessarily translating into wins immediately. I still like the deal. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what we need, what's going on right now. First Take Tuesday, Big Nick the Quick. Yours is gonna lead us directly into the NBA talk. So I'm gonna drop my little First Take Tuesday. First Take Tuesday for me is appreciate these rappers and art. I talk about this all the time, man. I felt like there was a stage where I know DMX was having a hard time with different things. Rest in peace, DMX. But his music was always legendary and always transcendent. And I think with the internet age and all that stuff, you kind of get wrapped into like the newer generation might have thought DMX was a clown drug addict, and that was not the case.
no.
For
DMX had an 18-month period where he was the largest rapper in the world.
He like it might have been of all time. It might have been of all time at the moment.
I think, and then there was X sold 10 million copies, and at that time, only I think the Fugees, and only one other group had ever sold 10 million, or one other considered rap album had sold 10 million copies. So it was Eminem, DMX, and the Fugees.
Yeah,
that's elite company.
And he was there when Def Jam was having trouble. DMX was there holding everything down. So make sure you show love and do your research and go check out a lot of these old guys. Guys like another good example that I thought of is like, man, when a guy like Bun B disappears, it's like no one talks about Bun B or his music or really, UGK like that. But dog, classic bars, classic songs. So go back, do your hip hop research, man. Listen to those guys.
I feel like Bun B, because the one thing Bun B's done a good job of is he always does get into remember like he was on Drake shit when Drake first came out on Uptown and shit like that.
Yeah, people got love for Bun.
Yeah. So Bun is like OG status. Like people call him like, yo, we throw Bun on the track, like for sure. But like, man, you look at someone like, I even look like Nas. You know what I mean? Like the younger generation's not buying Nas albums. Older heads might still listen to him, but it's like, yo, y'all don't understand. Like Nas versus Jay-Z was a thing, like a real thing. Like now you think Jay-Z the icon and Nas low-key the quiet icon of business, right? But you don't think about those guys as two guys who at one point in time were just focused on getting bars out and were really going at each other and really kind of had the hip-hop world by the balls really for that whole feud. And for the record, if it had been anyone that wasn't Jay-Z, and this is really a testament to Jay-Z because Nas ate him. If it had been anyone else that wasn't Jay-Z, their career was over. Yeah, Nas, Ether was, I don't want to hear anything else.
Very turbulent.
Like Nas destroyed him.
Yeah, it was very turbulent. Yo, let me ask you this. So speaking in that same breath of just like the younger generation, the guys born in like the late 90s, early 2000s, because that's kind of who we're talking about, who we're dealing with, is Hove not having his, and I know he has multiple reasons for this, but for a guy like Hove not having Reasonable Doubt on like Apple and Spotify and all his early stuff, Volume 1, Volume 2, is that, I guess, hindering some of the new age from checking out his stuff? Because if you want to listen to Reasonable Doubt, you kind of either got to hop on YouTube or or Tidal, right? Like he's making you go get it on Tidal, right? So I get that. But I was trying to find Reasonable Doubt. I couldn't even get it. I was like, I had to pull out an old ass hard drive to where I had like all this old Hove on.
It's on Spotify now.
Is it Reasonable Doubt?
Yeah. It comes and goes. I can tell you, like I just checked because I remember I was listening to it the other day. It is on Spotify right now, but he was fucking around with his music for a while for sure, especially the early shit.
Yeah,
and like Reasonable Doubt should be available whenever someone needs it.
Does.
Illmatic should be
100%.
available when somebody needs it. Mobb Deep, Hell on
100%.
Earth should be available when somebody needs it. Tribe Called Quest should be available when the youth need it because they need to study. I used to study when I was a young kid listening to rap music. I had KRS-One, I had Rakim, I had De La Soul, I had Tribe, right? I had all those guys because in order to understand, and this is a whole nother, we could do 2 hours on this, but in order to understand where you at, you got to know where you're coming from, man. And these fools were out here barring up. So no disrespect to the young guys, man. I'm not one of these old heads. It's like, I don't want to listen to this shit. I like the young guys, man. I listen to all those cats. But the youth needs to be educated on the classics and understand, like, yo, before not even computers, but before like motherfuckers go in a booth and make a song in 30 minutes, like, yo, you really had to plan this shit out. Like, remember when someone would drop an album? Dog, like that was a moment.
Massive.
Massive. I still remember reading through the liner notes, man. You get a CD, you read through you read the whole credits, you read the who they shouting out, who they thanking. Yeah, man. So, yo, youngins, man, if you're listening today, man, just go ahead and listen to some of that shit, man. It's
long-winded way of saying, yo, rest in peace, DMX. But those, make sure you give those guys their flowers and appreciate that stuff, so you could, And then on the same breath that I always say, maybe you could catch a show. Maybe you can catch them before they do.
Yeah, support them too. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Say less. Big Nick the Quick's First Take Tuesday is going to lead us into this NBA talk. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, no, just the other day, the Lakers versus the Nets. And this is a Kyrie story, but full disclosure, this isn't a Kyrie bashing story as much as it usually is when we bring up this man's name. But obviously, the little scuffle the other day between the Lakers and the Nets. Which, look, Dennis Schroder is one of those guys that's gonna have his moment in the playoffs because I feel like when I watch teams play against them, they hate playing against this guy. He's annoying. He gets in your face. He's got the whole German thing going on. Like, he's just an irritant, right? So obviously, he was getting under Kyrie's skin. Kyrie got right in his face. And Dennis Schroder said to him, God damn, nigga, like, get out my face, right?
Right.
Kyrie took major offense to that.
Yeah.
Like, don't call me nigga. Don't call me nigga. You don't know me like that, bro. Like, I'll knock your head off or some shit like that. Turned out being a whole thing. They both got ejected, right? So this led me down like two different thought paths. Number one, and I guess I'm going to throw this back to you.
Yeah.
Where are you with Kyrie reacting that way? Yeah. And number two, I had said, hey, look, had they fought, Schroder was going to scrape him. You said not a chance.
Not a chance.
Which got us talking about who we think might be the best scrappers currently in the league.
Yes.
So first, let me ask you, where are you at with Kyrie reacting that way to that particular situation?
I understand what he's saying, and it fits what Kyrie believes. He doesn't believe in supporting that type of language that oppressed our people for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's been a derogatory term since it was ever introduced. So I understand what he's saying. That's really all I got to say about that. I get it. I
can't fault him for it.
I can't fault him for that explanation.
Yeah,
but
Schroder wouldn't have known that in the moment. So it's just what it is. It's just like it's in his language. So he said it, and it was just like, yo, chill, my G. Sure, I don't know you.
Yeah, exactly, right.
All right.
But to the scrapping piece,
give me the scrappers.
I think you're well. To touch on Kyrie and Dennis, I think you're underestimating Kyrie if it got to that.
Why?
Just because I think he'd be about that.
You don't think Schroder would be about that?
No, it's not that I don't think Schroder would be about it, but I think Kyrie would be more about it than Schroder.
Interesting.
He'd be on some like fighting for his character type shit, like the Irving name, like the legacy, like you know what I'm saying?
Us Black Americans need to stick together. We got to fight the German oppressor,
right? Like, like Kyrie wouldn't go for that, and I think Dennis doesn't cross me as a guy that could throw down. I don't know what. I don't know why, but that's just what I got.
Fair enough. So this led me to kind of go on a little Google search of. I couldn't think of it off top. Like, who would be the best fighters currently in the NBA? So I found this list on Barstool of all places.
Yeah.
All right. So they're top 10 right now, right?
Yeah.
From 2018, actually. They got Robin Lopez at number 10. When I saw that, I was like, no,
this shit's already fraudulent.
It's already fraudulent. Like, he's not. Like if you were to get him angry enough, maybe like no disrespect to Rolo. We watched him for years. We're big Rolo fans on the podcast. So you can go back and check the resume. We love Rolo.
Put a shift in.
Yeah, but not a fighter. Number 9, and I didn't know this dude could scrap, but looking at him 100%, this guy might be up there. Scary Terry Rozier.
No question.
No question. So they got 2 videos. He fought Bledsoe and he fought Brandon Jennings. And just the caption for the Brandon Jennings fight is him just landing a right hand all across Brandon Jennings' side of his face. So Scary Terry, and he got heart.
Big heart.
Heart. He would fight Robin Lopez, no problem.
Terry. Oh, Terry.
To number 8, I don't think this dude could fight, but I don't know if anybody would try to fight him, is Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he would be a guy that you would have to find out, I think.
You would have to find out, but you probably wouldn't want to.
I don't know, man. Those South Central. LA motherfuckers.
Which brings me to my next guy. He doesn't say much, but he does a lot. Kawhi. The hands, bro.
You think Kawhi got hands?
I think Kawhi will fuck you up. He's got braids. Kawhi's got braids for 20 years, bro.
I don't know. That's a good one. Can Kawhi, would
Kawhi bang?
He'd be like, can Kawhi bang? I don't know.
Why are you talking about me? I will hit you in your face.
It would have to get, I would, on that same token, can he bang? I'm not sure. But I wonder what it would take him to get to a point where he would be like having to bang. Like he'd have to bang.
Yeah, I don't know because he doesn't show any emotion. He's won 3 championships and we still don't know how he feels about anything. So. Exactly. Or 2 championships. All right, next guy.
The guy in my head better be on this list.
I think this is the guy.
Okay.
Definition of scrappy.
Okay.
100% would fight.
Okay.
100% probably does fight.
Yeah.
We saw him hit Chris Paul in the nuts. No, that wasn't. No, he didn't hit Chris Paul in the nuts. Who did he hit? He hit somebody else in the nuts. Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart will scrap for sure. No question
about
it.
Marcus Smart might be number 1 because I think you could whoop his ass and he'll keep getting up. Like
he's like, he would be Marcus would definitely bang and can scrap for sure.
Yes.
Straight off the strength of his persona.
Yeah, 100%. He's not losing a fight. Next, Boban is who they got.
Absolutely, Boban would get folded up.
I would. Yeah, I don't think he can fight. He's just big.
You just maybe couldn't hit him.
The next dude, I think this dude's the biggest woofer in the NBA. I think he would be talking about fighting. I think he's the type of dude he'd be on the street yelling all types of crazy shit. But when it came down to it, I don't really think this dude could scrap like that, man. And it pains me to say it because he's from the crib, but Pat Bev, I just think it's a lot of woofing, man. I think he can fight, but it's a lot more bark than bite with like if he was to go up against Marcus Smart would scrape his ass.
I think he just has so much bark that the bite is just impossible to keep up with how much bark it is.
you can't match the bark.
Yeah, you can't match the bark like regardless. But I would say Pat Bev could get down
versus Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart might be the gold standard here. Like, hey, could this dude whoop Marcus Smart?
The guy I had in mind that wasn't on the list, I'm talking Jay Crowder.
Oh, Jay Crowder.
Yes.
You think Jay Crowder can scrap?
Yes.
Why?
100%.
What about Jay Crowder makes you think he can scrap?
His face. His face. That's it. And his attitude. His attitude on the court.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like he can scrap. He don't take no bullshit, no nonsense.
Okay. I'll finish with 2.
Okay.
Steven Adams.
Yeah.
I think his legend is kind of like outgrown him, but I probably would not want to fight that dude. I think he has like 12 brothers and sisters, and like his sister's like an Olympic bodybuilder that like used to fuck him up. So like that dude's like one of the youngest of a bunch of big ass Australian kids.
Yeah, and he's
New
massive.
Zealand. He's just fucking massive.
Yeah.
And number 1, who every list that I looked at for number 1 fighter in the NBA, and it's pretty obvious, former Chicago Bull. Do you know?
Jimmy?
Trained in fighting. No one would beat this dude in a fight because.
Oh, you're talking about James Johnson.
James Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's like, and he's a martial art.
You just made me think though. I think Jimmy Butler actually might win.
Jimmy Butler would scrap 100%.
It doesn't matter if Jimmy Butler would scrap you in a Rolls Royce. Like he's just built that way. Dog. Like he'd pull up in the Rolls and get out and scrap you. So
yeah, it doesn't care.
So who do we got, man? Who is the king of the hill? Who's the king of the ring in the NBA if it came to a fight?
Yeah, holler at us, man. Shoot me
Yeah.
a message, shoot me a DM. I want to know what y'all think too.
Do you know who one of the biggest low-key scrappers in NBA history was? Like, if you read up on it, like this dude to fuck you up?
Who?
Jerry Stackhouse.
Oh, I can see that.
Known like big, like no, he was like a don't fuck with Jerry Stackhouse was like a known thing back in the day in the
He's a
NBA.
New York guy?
I think he's a New York guy, but he doesn't say a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah.
doesn't say shit.
You know what's so funny? When you say Jerry Stackhouse's name, the first thing I think of is when he flushed on some Duke player in Duke, North Carolina, and he walked away and he did this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nah.
Okay, all right, hold on. Let me see
Find
real
the
quick
Stack highlight.
before we jump into this. The full show. I'm about to play this clip.
Also, one of the greatest sports names of all time, Jerry Stackhouse. Like it's just a good name, dude. Like
name.
The last name Stackhouse is just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull up these. So yeah, that was interesting. And then you go back, obviously. Man, who? You know, my man used to play for the Bulls. Charles Oakley used to scrap people mid-court for gambling debts. Definitely a scrapper. Ron Artest.
Hold on, let me share my screen. Here it goes. You'll know what I'm talking about now. This is
UNC legend.
Share screen. Yeah, dog. Jerry Stackhouse. I always think about this dunk when I think about Jerry Stackhouse, and it's more just him walking off. Can you see my screen?
Did you search your YouTube search was Jerry Stackhouse dunk on dude?
Duke,
oh,
yeah.
Dunk on dude. I thought it said dunk on dude.
Look, here it goes. It's the walk off after.
Oh my God. yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
First off,
the walk off.
Look, that dunk was crazy. Yo, shout out Stackhouse, man.
Dog, shout out Stack, man.
Stackhouse and Iverson never worked out, but
shout out Stack. Yeah,
that's Jerry Stackhouse.
So it's funny, man. Every time I hear Stackhouse's name, that's the first thing I think of. Then I start thinking, about he had a great NBA career too. But.
Yeah, I think he's a coach now. Or he's doing something now that's important somewhere. I don't know if he's
Jerry
like a player
Stack.
development guy, but yeah, shout out Jerry Stackhouse for real.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Scrappers in the NBA. Let us know. Hit us on Twitter. Let us know.
Yeah, who do we forget?
Who is that undercover scrapper? The real scrappers know.
Real scrappers know, which is not me. So yeah,
not me either. Luckily, I'm huge and they don't really pull it with me. So
let me know.
I was never a fighter. That shit takes too much energy.
Yeah, no, I'm never even angry enough to even get to that level.
I'm not going to jail.
Yeah, facts.
Well, not suing me.
All right, let's get to this NBA talk. First Take Tuesday was a hit. We had the 23-minute marker. NBA talk. Jamal Murray tears his ACL, going to the basket late in the game yesterday. It's a big blow for the Denver Nuggets. How big of an impact do you think this has on the West?
Huge. It knocks Denver out of contention as far as being an actual. Denver was we talked about this, legitimate NBA Finals Western Conference contender, especially with the injuries that the Lakers have had to deal with and the uncertainty around that. Especially because, hey, as well as Utah is playing, there's still a lot of what happens once they get to the playoffs. Phoenix is a new team, and then the rest of the obviously the Clippers. I think that's the team it helps the most is the Clippers. Really, the Clippers and if the Lakers get healthy. Just taking Denver out of the equation and just how well he plays with Jokic. Like if you were to create a player to play with Jokic, it's Jamal Murray. Like their pick and roll game, just the way that they play off of each other, the way that Murray can kind of both, share playmaking duties and, stuff like that. It's a huge blow. And we saw in the playoffs, like, look, I gave him a lot of shit earlier in the year, but we see in the playoffs, he is a 50-point guy. And there's just not a lot of guys walking around that can wake up and get you 50 when you need it. And when you talk about going into these Western Conference duels, whether it be against Kawhi, whether it be against Bron, whether it be against Dame Lillard, some of these high scorers, Luka, these guys who you need to have that 50-point guy to go with them. They had Mitchell last year. That's why Murray was blowing up, because Mitchell was coming out giving 40, 45 points. Not having that available and just really relying on Jokic and a guy who's really about to eat now, who's probably happy about that Murray injury, is Michael Porter Jr. But he's not as dynamic as Murray. He's just more of a scorer. Murray can handle the ball. Murray could do a lot of other things. It's huge. It is huge. It's the biggest thing to happen in the Western Conference this year, hands down.
Yeah, I mean,
100% contender. Yeah.
You say it really affects the Clippers. I didn't really see it that way, just because the Clippers were always going to be top 3 in the West from the start of the season. When they lost last year, and they're like, yo, where are the Clippers going to be at? They're probably going to end top 3 in the West next year, right? Fill in whoever you want, but they'll be in the top 3. They may win the West. They may be second in the West going into the playoffs, but they'll be top 3. And guess where they're at right now? They're number 3. Then they're kind of just coasting, right?
Yeah.
I think it affects the Lakers now dealing with the injury. That kind of gives them an opportunity to move up a slot, especially because they're only a game back now. Denver had won 8 of their last 10. They've been balling, right? So I think it gives a little boost to the guys like the Lakers, to Portland, to Dallas. Those teams are still only 3 games back. So
if you're the Clippers, though, I mean, not necessarily the regular season, but as far as playoffs goes, I mean, that's the team that knocked you out last year.
But let me ask you this.
You don't have to worry about them anymore. It's one less team you got to worry about out there.
Let me ask you this. Going into the playoffs before this Murray injury, say the Clips and the Nuggets were in the playoffs and they were going head up, you would think about taking the Nuggets?
Without a doubt. Absolutely. That's how strong I was on Denver. Denver was good, and they got better. Yeah. They added Aaron Gordon, which was to stop Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, right? So, and you didn't really give up anything that mattered at the time. So, yeah, I mean, I thought that was great. I thought that they were primed to make a run. I thought that they have an MVP candidate. They have a secondary guy who's really fucking good. You have a third scorer in Porter who's really fucking good. Then you got a bunch of role players around them that are really fucking good. And you got a wild card like Gordon, who can be good. He's a clown, but he can be good.
Yeah.
So I think just without Murray, that team, it takes a lot away. And now you're really relying on Joker to go out there and get 40. Like, that's not going to happen. You know, that's not what he does.
No,
he can do it.
I don't think that's what happens. I think it falls on Michael Porter Jr. And I'm
scary.
And I'm excited to see, how he kind of fills that void. Because I mean, we know how he.
I think Michael Porter Jr. has like 50 assists the entire year. So I mean, he's the definition of a black hole. I think he averages 1 assist a game. I mean, he's obviously talented. He's a bucket.
He's a scorer. Yeah,
he's a scorer. But I don't think you want to go down on the Michael Porter Jr. train. Not to mention, he's a guy who's had an injury problem. So you start talking about these playoff games, you're going to be playing Michael Porter Jr. 45 minutes a night and expect him to come back out 2 days later and do the same thing. Like, Murray just had that gear, man. Like, Murray had that fuck it gear. I'm going out, I'm getting 50, and I'm going to win this game. And I won't get in Joker's way.
I will
not get in Joker's way. That's the key thing. It's rare that you find that type of chemistry between 2 high output guys, right? So I think that's huge for them, man. I think if the Lakers can get healthy, it's just one less team you have to worry about that could potentially give you problems. But that Lakers thing, man, look, we don't know what the hell the situation is over there. So I mean, I think it opens it up for a team like Portland to maybe make their run. Maybe Dallas, who I think is fraudulent and has been fraudulent all year, but again, there's still time. I just think taking Murray and taking those potential 40, 50 points, 30 in the playoffs.
He's averaging 24 and 5 assists. So 21, 4 and 5. So you're taking that out. They've won. I didn't realize they've won 17 of 20.
Yeah, they've been killing.
Yeah. So it's a big blow. More so for the playoffs, because I think they'll get to the playoffs still. I don't think that's.
They're gonna walk in the playoffs. They're fine.
That's not gonna be.
They could not win another game and make the fucking playoffs, but
they're not as dangerous, for sure.
Yeah, not even close. No, it knocks them out of contention as far as they might give you some games, they might give you some trouble, but they're not beating any of the West's best in 7.
No chance.
No chance. With who? How much of their success in the playoffs last year was Murray going off, man? Go watch that Utah series, man. Come on now.
The guard play.
The guard play. Just like the NCAA tournament. No, but the guard play. Like, I think you gotta. I think that's huge, man. I think that is a huge, huge injury.
Yeah, and especially maybe even for Dallas too, they can maybe sneak out of that play-in. I know Mark Cuban and those guys were screaming about the play-in for whatever reason. I don't
know why you're talking about this now.
Yeah. And you're going to be in the play-in.
Yeah, and your team is underperforming. You shouldn't even be fucking talking about the play-in. So
Right.
like, yeah, you should. You thought Luka's great, but if I'm you, you should be screaming about the fact that your team is in the 8th seed in the West, and you have a superstar. I don't know about that. So, but yeah, I think that injury is catastrophic to the Denver Nuggets. They could have taken an injury to anybody else on their roster other than Murray and Jokic.
Yeah, that they wish they had Gary Harris on the.
When your number one is a big, like it's all that much more important to have a fucking ridiculously good perimeter player.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's just hard to win on the strength of a big, even as great as Jokic is.
Porter Jr. can fill it up though.
He can. He's averaging 17 points a game on like 50% shooting. He's great. He's a black hole.
You don't think he could take that to 25?
I think he could take it to 30, but he'll still only get 1 assist. So I mean,
if you don't need him to, so what?
If your second guy has no interest in getting anybody else involved, you have some issues.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, he has zero interest in getting anybody else involved. He's the perfect number 3.
Yeah, he is.
Either you're a night or it's not. You know what I mean? Like we don't need you to do nothing else. Yeah, he is a number 3. Yeah. So he's not that type of player. And that's nothing against him, PJ. Get your buckets.
Okay, fair enough. We could stay on that same game last night because that's the same game. Curry scores 53.
Mm-hmm.
Murray tears his ACL. Probably a couple of the biggest stories so far the second half of the year. I want to talk about Steph Curry a little bit here because I know people were disrespecting him and, he was injured and they didn't know if he'd get back to full form, but he is fully on form and has been all year. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So last night he has 53, 14 of 24 from the floor, 10 of 18 from 3. It was like an easy 53 too. If you were watching the game.
On 24 shots.
Yeah, like it was light.
Yeah, very light.
Let me ask you this: could it possibly be time for him to maybe start looking around the league?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that they're still want to see what happens once Klay comes back.
Yeah.
He's a Golden State Warrior, and I think he's fine with retiring there. I mean, what is he? If he's looking around the league, what exactly is he chasing? I mean, he just got out of a period of like 7 years of extreme contention. I mean, yeah, I hear you, but
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I guess if you don't trust the front office to do what they got to do and rebuild this team, but for what it's looking like, they're going to have another decent draft pick this year. You'll get Wiseman back next year. You'll get Klay back next year. I guess you figure out what you want to do with Draymond, and then it's still an attractive option for free agents, right? So you're talking about some of these guys. I think a lot of these teams are like, yo, when the next superstar asks to leave, we want to have our shit in place, right? So, like, that's how I feel about the Bulls. When the next superstar asks to leave, yeah, we kind of suck right now, but there's 2 all-stars there. When the next superstar leaves, man, I'll go play with Steph, Klay, young Wiseman, you know what I mean, and kind of do that in the Bay.
I think the Wiseman addition is a really interesting piece.
Yeah.
Because it's like almost like a fresh young anchor that they could lean on. Because I don't know how much contention they would have if they're going to try to lean on, just Steph, just Klay, and just Draymond, in my opinion.
I will say this. They need to hire a new trainer out there because I've never seen a team have more season-ending injuries than this team. I mean, Wiseman's out for the year now. Steph Curry got hurt last year. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. Like, boys get hurt over there for some reason. They need to bring in Buddy from
you said it's all soft tissue too.
Soft tissue, yeah, man. It's soft tissue, yeah, exactly.
All tendons and shit.
No, but yeah, I think that I think it's still attractive. It'd be different if he was looking out there and like the cupboard was barren. You know what I mean? Like they still got guys coming back, and I don't think he's going to leave Klay like that. He wants to play with his boy Klay. He wants to see if they can do it. He wants to run through the league again, and he knows, hey, I'm good enough to at least keep us floating in that 8th, 9th situation. So you add me another all-star, which will obviously motivate Draymond, right? Because like what Draymond doesn't do really shows when you're expecting him to be a number 2 or a number 3. Yeah. But you added the scorers back in there. Draymond's going to do what Draymond's going to do.
Yeah, if you just let him kind of roam around and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he doesn't shoot the ball or not. But so I would no, I don't think so. I don't think he's one of those players that's going to look around and be like, "Let me get out of it," because there's an explanation for why they're not good. It makes sense.
Fair. They're missing a big piece.
Yeah, and you're also like, dude, we also went out and got Kevin Durant. Like, you knew what that was going to do for our future. We couldn't sign young guys to good contracts at that point in time. We couldn't re-sign a lot of guys. We weren't going to be getting high draft picks. But we've done it before. Like, to stay here, man. And he's an icon out there. Where are you going, man? Who are you going to play with?
Yeah,
I don't see that from him.
So just purely off the strength, it's like.
And you got the chance to be a legend.
You think he's just going to he's already a legend there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to be one of those rare guys that might be able to play his whole. He has the Dirk Kobe thing. I mean, that doesn't last anymore. I know Milwaukee wishes that's what's going to happen with Giannis, but holler at me in 2 years. He has that opportunity.
Yeah.
No, Giannis is going to be wearing red.
That would be something else.
It will be. It's only come 94, man. It's like
Dude,
40 an hour.
He would be amazing with Zach and Vooch.
And we love him here, man. We got so many Greek restaurants in Chicago. We got so many Greeks. You know what I'm saying?
Lots of Greek.
A lot of Greeks, bro.
A lot of Greeks, a lot of
apostolos, all that, man. We got all them people out here, man. You get out of Milwaukee, man. It's trash. You come stay downtown, man. Bring a girl to a real city. Raise a little kid in the real city. Milwaukee, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I think that I don't think he's going anywhere, man.
It was interesting because I was just thinking about it, like, man, this dude is really just going nuts, and these are the last couple, 3, 4, 5 of his prime years. And it's just a shame that Clay's not around and shit. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think about him, Clay, Draymond, Wiseman, Oubre, and even Wiggins still around. I mean, maybe not all those guys are around.
Please never mention on Andrew the Corpse Wiggins, even though he's having a decent year for them this year. But you can't rely on him to do anything special. Look at the games when Steph doesn't play and he has like 8 shots. He's just not built like that. Wiggins has Lauri Markkanen mentality.
Yes,
he has Lauri Markkanen mentality. It's like, hey, if I don't have to do anything, I won't. I'll have my moments when there's no pressure. But if you want me to be that guy, I'm not. No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
They eat the same thing for breakfast.
100%.
Yeah, they eat the same thing for breakfast for sure, no doubt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I feel it. It's interesting. I wanna see Clay and those guys back. Clay coming off an ACL and then Achilles is kind of crazy.
And on the wrong side of 30 now too, right?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, that is my only thing. Is like, hey, the assumption. I think it was cool to assume it last year, but the assumption that he's going to come back and be fine, even though he's a guy that doesn't necessarily need the ball and all that, like
not explosive or anything.
He moves around though, like he gets to get open. You know what I'm saying? He comes off screens, he does that whole thing. The jumper won't go away. Yeah, the jump, and one of the best defenders in the league too. The jumper won't go away, but it's like, yo, he's got to get that off. So I might be talking crazy because again, Clay doesn't need a ton, but yeah. You got to just figure out a role for him, a way to, yeah.
Speaking of Achilles, right before we hopped on, you're like, yo, I want to talk about Brooklyn, see if they're playing with fire. Since we're talking about KD, Achilles, and all that, you think that Brooklyn may be playing with a little bit of fire just by purely the fact that those guys just won't get enough time together, all three of them together as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have the most talented 3 we may have ever seen in the NBA history as far as just pure talent of those 3 guys. I do think it's the 3 most talented guys that have ever been on one team.
Yeah.
But man, at this point, it's like, hey, okay, so now if James Harden comes back today, right, we have 20 games to figure this out, right? We have 20 games while we're working Kevin back in, who's missed 8 weeks, right, or maybe longer. And we're still trying to get you guys to figure out. We have a rookie head coach, right? It's a whole new situation. These are 3 guys that have never played against each other. And it's like, yo, we need you guys ready for playoff basketball in 20 games. Can't miss any more games. Everybody needs to play together. 20 games, we got to get you ready for playoff basketball. It's just unrealistic to me. With that being said, if they figured it out and just ran through the East, I wouldn't be shocked. But I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion, man. I just think that
I'm interested to see, man. I can't wait
It's
for the
hard
playoffs
to put that together. Yeah, I'm ready for the playoffs to start at this point too.
I'm ready. This is that part of the season where I'm like, all right.
Yeah, we're good. We know who's good. We know who's not.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I just think for them, man, you really got to get these guys playing together, because if you're looking at like, oh, it's 15 games left in the year and now everybody's finally healthy, you're playing 15 tune-up games before the playoffs trying to figure out your chemistry. So I just think that, I think that that's a tough task for them. So
I think the biggest thing about the chemistry piece is just coming down the stretch. I think it's going to be interesting, and something that you need to kind of figure out to be in just situationally wise is how are we going to handle this, like coming down possession per possession in really tight games.
Right, and you're playing against the two best teams in the East are two teams that have a ton of continuity in Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia's added some pieces, but especially Milwaukee. Those guys, Giannis and Middleton, have been playing together for years now, right? Simmons and Embiid have been playing together for years now. So tendencies, things like that matter in the playoffs. That's going to be tough for them to figure out, man. But again, they have the second best player in the NBA.
I just don't want them to be in a position where it comes down to a close game and then they're like, everyone's looking for everybody else because they want to get everybody involved.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, go ahead and let James go to work, or go let Kyrie go to work. So yeah, I think that's what needs to get.
Kyrie needs to be. I honestly think Kyrie needs to be the closer. No, Kyrie's a big shot guy, man.
Give me. Well, I want to say give me James, but that guy in the playoffs is different.
Don't give me James. Let KD handle all the scoring throughout the first 4 quarters, and then let Kyrie cook for his little. Dude, Kyrie in spurts is crazy. We have seen Kyrie go in like a little 3 minutes where it's like, yo, this guy is absolutely unguardable. And when he's feeling it, it's like, and we've seen it happen in game 7s, right? We've seen him hit the biggest shot in that game 7. And that's not to say that KD shouldn't have the ball at the end of the game. I get it. But we talked about KD already. It was understood. Doesn't need to be explained. Yeah. But Kyrie is kind of that. It shouldn't be James. We're
talking about face up, go get a basket.
Go get a basket.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
you're surefire is Kyrie.
Yeah, I think for most of the game it should be a lot of James and KD doing their thing. But like if you're looking for that real X factor to close the games down the stretch, it's Kyrie, man. He can become downright unguardable, and he's able to handle the ball like that. And he can make some decisions for you. I mean, KD's going to do his thing regardless, man. This almost sounds like anti-KD,
though, but I think James is unguardable as well when he gets like that. I just think him in the playoffs.
Yeah, we've seen. The weather starts to warm up. The weather starts to warm up, and James is out. James is out at night, bro. Like, come on, motherfuckers getting vaccinated now. Like, it's scary hours for James.
We've seen some things in the playoffs that James, hasn't done what he's supposed to do.
I've just seen Kyrie close games before in like the most beautiful ways. You know what I mean? Like when he's just going and he's just on. It is like art, you know what I mean? He's just so talented, so crafty, such a good finisher, but also a lethal shooter. Yeah.
No, fair enough. I feel it.
Like, I don't know if there's ever been a guy that's had the layup package of Kyrie, obviously, but there's never been a guy who's that good of a finisher, but also that good of a shooter as a point guard like that. I not that I can think of.
Yeah, when he shoots that thing, he gets hot too.
But he can finish so well at the basket too. Like that's the other thing. Like if he shoots that thing, like it's going, man.
Yeah, he's fading all types of stuff.
And he's jersey becomes untucked, and he's just doing the whole thing. Like you know what I'm talking about? Untucked Kyrie, like when he just stops giving a fuck. Like when he's in his zen,
Yeah.
So I think they are, to answer the question initially. Yeah, they are playing with fire. But I don't think they need to worry about like a Milwaukee or anything like that. Milwaukee's lost 6 of 10.
Yeah, that's what they do, though. Then they'll probably close the season and they'll win like 12 or 14.
Philly's the team in the East right now, man.
Does Philly have the MVP as well?
I think that injury, and even though he's back now, kind of knocked Embiid down a few rungs. Obviously, to me, it's hard to say that he's not, but I just think missing those games. So right now, I got Jokic.
It's going to be interesting to see.
And I think the Joker's MVP candidacy is really about to be strengthened over these last 20 games without Jamal Murray.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
If he starts going ballistic and then he ends up carrying them to some more wins with essentially his Robin out of there now, that'll be a strong case to close the year too.
Can I ask a question though? And like, I know because he's not scoring more than like 15 or 16 points, but for the life of me, why isn't Chris Paul a top 3 MVP candidate? Like, I mean, we talk about this all the time. He's the only difference in that team this year, and they have the second best record in the West. And when you watch them play, it's a completely different squad. In the fourth quarter, all he does is win games. He does not lose a game for you in the fourth quarter. As someone who watches every single Bulls game, right? And watches what a lack of a smart point guard can do to you and do to a lead in the fourth quarter, Chris Paul is invaluable to that roster. Invaluable to that roster, man. I mean, like, it's night and day.
It is night and day. We were texting the other night when they were playing the Clippers on a back-to-back off the Jazz after beating the Jazz, who have the best record in the West, 2 games in a row. They showed up the next night in LA and were playing the Clippers hard. And the Clippers were shooting like 60% from 3, and it was still a back-and-forth game, and they ended up losing, but they were playing hard. So, yeah, that's a good point, man.
They're going to be like 52-20 or some shit. I mean, like this team's turnaround that he's been able to engineer, and again, he is the difference, right? Like, I get it, Book and all those guys were there, but they did not know how to win games. Like, they didn't know how to win games. He literally came in and said, "Oh, wait, no, this is how you win a basketball game.
No,
this is the right move to make in the fourth quarter. It's not about you. It's about making the right play. Give me the ball." Like, I just think that, yeah, man,
he should be in the conversation.
He should be in the conversation.
He's the guy that gets in. He's the Heisman Trophy invite guy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Except for, yeah, he's doing things. And when you watch him, again, man, like, watch fourth quarter Chris Paul. It's remarkable how many high IQ plays that he makes that result in the right outcome, a positive outcome.
Yeah. I think that's a great point and a great segue into talking about the Bulls because, man, I can't remember the last time I've watched the team and just in dire need of a point guard at the end of the game. Lonzo Ball. For everybody listening, Big Nick the Quick named his name on the stream is Lonzo Ball. But yeah, this team coming down the stretch yesterday, the offensive possessions that we had were remarkably bad. Remarkably bad. We got bailed out a couple times by a couple jump shots, and then we had a bad young baby hook like on a back down.
Yep.
But if you guys watched the game, you were watching the Bulls last night in Memphis. The whole offense and everything coming down the stretch was in complete disarray.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a lot of giving the ball to Zach and telling him to make a play. And look, I love Zach. I love his progress.
No. That's the problem. Yo, look, it's not even give the ball to Zach and let him make a play. He's bringing the ball up.
He's running point.
He's running point guard. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's running point. He is not James Harden. He is not like, I get that, like, at some point a few years ago, it was a shift in the NBA that was like, well, why don't you just give your best player the ball? And for a lot of guys, it worked. But then you have certain guys where, like, look, that's not it. Like, and Zach is one of those guys. You talk about Phoenix. Devin Booker is one of those guys. Like, look, these are our best players, but they shouldn't necessarily be making all the crunch time decisions in the last 5 minutes. And if you watch Zach, he has always been a turnover. Like, he turns the ball over. He has bad turnovers, right? Like that one, I don't know, what was like 2 or 3 minutes left in the game. He just came down at the 3-point line looking like he's going to make a pass and just throws it right to the defender in front of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not what he does. Well, he's there to score.
And I think he starts to get uncomfortable.
He gets very uncomfortable. He tries to force.
He's not comfortable trying to do that at the end of the game. Right. Now, if you want to run some offense with a point guard and get him the ball coming off a screen or coming downhill or catch it, and he has to, make a decision if I'm going to pull up, make some space, shoot a jumper, or go to the basket, cool. If he has to bring the ball up the floor and start making decisions and start trying to decide what we're going to do this possession, is when he starts to unravel a little bit.
It's a disaster. And again, it's not him, man. It's not the type of player that he is, and it's not anything close to one of his strengths. Like, we've been talking about it all year. Yeah. Offensively and defensively, The need for a point guard is glaring on the defensive side of the ball. Man, don't let us play some little quick guard that can get buckets. Don't let us play Trae Young, right? Don't let us play. Who else cooked us after Trae? Who have we played? Ja Morant. I mean, Ja's great, but like these guards, we can't stay in front of any point guard, right? So
it's funny you say that because I was gonna say if the Bulls are playing somebody down low, a big man,
that too, yeah,
I would take a look at taking that team on some money bet because we get destroyed down low. Jonas did that. Valanciunas did that last night to Vucevic.
Good player.
Yeah, he is. It's an interesting situation that the Bulls are in now because it's like, okay, we made our move, but now we have 20 games and the team doesn't really look very good. There's a lot of holes. So,
I mean, and I think the issue is like the move for me was two parts. It was a win now move and it was a future move, right? The future move to me is still intact. I told you all the reasons that I think it was the right move for the Bulls to make. You need to have some talent inside the building to attract other talent potentially, right? You need to pair Zach with another good player. The problem is the short term for it looks so bad right now. Like they just haven't looked comfortable as a team since they've made those moves. But a lot of that, I don't know how much of that is Vooch or even Zach. A lot of it is the fact that you got Kobe White, who has gotten worse. Literally zero development from Kobe White this year. I'm going to call it what it is. He is worse than last year. You tried to make him a point. What I got scared of happening with Kobe White is exactly what happened. You took a guy who had a certain skill set that was fit to play a certain type of role. You tried to make him something else, which I'm not faulting them for, but it's just what I was worried about. You tried to make him something else. It didn't work, and now you're telling him to go back to the old way, and he just doesn't know how. And what you have is a very confused player out there. Whereas you really should have a guy who's offensively aggressive. Like, that's what you need to be, dog. Like, you're a shooter. You're a scorer. Go out there and get your buckets and worry about the rest later. Okay, failed draft pick there. Then you have Lauri Markkanen, another guy who you should be relying on to do something. Now that Vooch is here, you slide comfortably into the third scorer on this team. You can't even do that on a night-to-night basis. You have games like last night where I don't even remember watching you in the damn ball game. So what's the purpose?
He wasn't. He had 1 point.
1 point.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, we're trying to find a role, trying to fit you in, but like you can't even take that role on, right? I get Patrick Williams, his aggressiveness goes in and out, and it's been out for like the past week. He's 19 years old, right? He's still just learning his way, not trying to step on any toes. But I also think if I'm Billy Donovan, I'm like, hey, bro, go out there today and get 15 attempts. I don't care how you get it. Just try to get 3 to 4 attempts a quarter. We don't need you to be timid, but regardless, he's a young player. But you're looking at this Markkanen, this Kobe White, and these guys, they're not playing like 7th picks in the draft. They're not paying like 17th picks in the draft. So it's like, man, it's hard to be like, yo, it's all Zach. Guys can't play with Zach. I don't know if it's that guys can't play with Zach or guys can't play. These guys can't play. You know what I mean? Like they can't. I'm watching Kobe and man, you remember how we ended the year last year? We're like, yo, this dude can hoop.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic Kobe was nice. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he I don't know. But he seems like a guy who is out there thinking. The hair ain't even flowing like it used to. He's just out there thinking, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like he got a perm. The hair ain't flowing. The game ain't growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm worried about that, man. Those are all, obviously those aren't Karnisovas mistakes, but I worry about that. And like, I love Billy Donovan, but there's some adjustments that aren't made towards the end of the game. But I don't know if it's because he doesn't know who he can trust. Maybe you can't take the ball out of Zach's hands because you don't fucking know who else's hand to put it into.
It's one of those things too.
So
we can't get a stop
to save our lives.
No, like
maybe one of the worst defensive teams I've ever seen in my entire life.
It is. It's really bad, especially transition wise.
121 to Minnesota is egregious.
And I think 121 to Minnesota, and then they get what was the final last night? It started slow, but then they ended up.
Last night was 101-90. Memphis still got 100 on us.
Yeah, they still poured it late, but yeah, it's an interesting situation. What do you think? Something that we could hang our hat on?
Rubio had 17, 4, and 9. Point guards fucking kill us, man. Rubio shouldn't be getting 17 anywhere.
Yeah, no, the point we get killed at the top, and then we get killed down low.
Yeah.
So
and then on
that's
offense,
what
we
it
can't
is.
put together buckets at the end of the game to
At the end of
overcome
the
getting
game.
killed
When
like
it's
that.
crunch time and it's winning time,
Both sides fail.
it's tough because both sides start to fail because we're getting schemed on and we can't make any stops and we have no organization on offense.
And if you're going to commit to Vooch being your big, the rest of your defense needs to be tight around him.
Airtight.
Like if you want to go with Vooch and Zach as your guys, okay, then you better give me 3 defenders. Lonzo Bull. So yeah, that's where I'm at with them, man. We need a point guard.
What's something we can hang our hat on to close the year? Like because I think we end up sneaking into the play-in. Maybe it's starting to look ugly though. What?
I hang my hat on the fact that this had been a couple years ago under the previous regime. I'd be pulling all my hair out, going crazy, and talking about burn the whole thing down. What I hang my hat on is I'm watching a professional organization still, I feel. I'm watching a professional head coach. I'm watching an organization that at least the perception around them in the league is somewhat shifted. I didn't get a chance to read the article that came out today where Thad Young talks about what it was like last year, but I'm really interested to read that. Apparently it was awful. Which we've read a lot of those stories. So I hang my hat on the fact that I'm very comfortable that, okay, so we failed this year. These guys that are going to address those failures are guys that I trust. That's what I hang my hat on. So I'm fine. I'm not in panic. I had no expectations this year, so I can't be disappointed.
Yeah, fair. And I think it's just this is year one.
It's year one, man. Yeah.
Year one.
Yeah, sky's not falling yet.
Zach has now shown that he's an all-star and he's going to be worth the money that he'll get. And we got some things to put together.
Oh, Zach made himself $200 million this year.
Yeah, no question.
Made himself $200 million.
No question.
Congratulations.
I'm really interested to see
the Levine family.
I texted this to you guys in the group chat. I never want to see Lauri Markkanen again.
Yeah, he's one of the most frustrating players to watch.
Yeah, I'm good.
You know what I was thinking? If you were to take a non-Bulls fan, right?
Yeah.
And you were to have them watch the Bulls for 2 games, right? They would give you 2 completely different assessments of Lauri Markkanen. On the right game, you would watch this dude and be like, wait, you guys don't want to max this guy out? You guys don't want to pay this guy? You couldn't extend it? What's wrong with you? He's flushing on people. He's not just a shooter. He's flushing on people. He's able to put it on the floor, do his thing, whatever. You watch another game, you're like, wait, did he play?
Yeah, facts.
Did he play last night?
That's exactly
this guy's
right.
7th pick in the draft. So it's like he is frustrating, man. I don't know, man. Look, man, and I know some people are like, oh, that mentality dog shit is not real. Like, yes, it is, bro. Get me dogs. I want dogs. I want Jimmy Butlers. I want guys who, if I'm 1 for 17, I'm shooting shot number 18. And that bitch is going in. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want. So you don't get that from Lauri, man. He just goes with the motions. If he's feeling it that night, man, you're in for one. It's going to be great. But if he's not feeling it, he's not going to shake himself out of it. He's not going to assert himself. And for $25 million a year, I don't want a guy who I got to power up all the time. You know what I mean? I want a guy to show up ready. Say one thing about Zach. Boy comes in ready every day.
Yeah, he does. I'm going to put this on wax. I'm not done with Kobe yet. I just don't need to see him in any type of starting role. But
me neither. I'm not done with him.
Yeah, and I'm good off he's just not a point guard like we said.
Clear his head. Clear his head.
Just let him go microwave it off the bench and get some buckets.
Go score, bro. Go be Lou Williams. Go be like one of those type guys. I was talking with Eder the other day. I was like, I wanted to, or was this on the group chat? I was like, I wanted to be Bobby Jackson, not Mike Bibby. It's okay, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's actually a good way to put it. Yeah.
You know, those guys come in and there's no pressure, man. It's like, hey, I'm coming in and I know I'm here to score. I think with him, you got in his head. He's a young player. He's impressionable. He's trying to do well, right? He's trying to do well. You know, you're young, but it's like, nah, man, like that's not on him. He's just not a fucking point guard. You knew he's not a point guard. And I hope you didn't ruin a good scorer.
Yeah, facts. All right, before we get out of here, give me a yes or no. Does Julian Edelman come back and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No.
No, he's done.
He failed a physical.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think that's why he got released from the Patriots.
Wait, he got released from the Patriots?
I think he got released and retired.
Oh, see, I didn't even know any of that.
Yeah,
I missed that part. I thought he just flat out retired.
No, I think he failed a physical.
And then that's when he's talking about his body breaking down and all that.
His body's breaking down. He's all fucked up. No, he should talk to Wes Welker and let Wes Welker tell him, "Hey, man, just hang it up."
I missed that. I missed
Yeah,
that.
he did. He failed a physical. Yeah.
Huh. Man, that stretch of that's the last guy.
Of those type guys?
Yeah. From New England.
From New England. Yeah,
it was Wes, it was Edelman, and then
Chris
it was
Hogan?
no,
Hogan?
but not the slot.
You mean the guys who
were
were really good? Yeah.
Who was the other little white dude?
Danny
He
Woodhead.
went to no. Wide receiver. He went to Detroit. After that, he dated the model that now dates Christian McCaffrey.
I know who you're talking about.
Look him up for me. Because that's what I'm saying. It was crazy because that stretch, Wes was in the slot, then it was Edelman, and then it was
Danny Amendola.
You know what I'm saying?
Danny Amendola. Yo, talk about putting in a shift.
Yeah. So that was like the last one of that slot little white dude.
Did Amendola do anything in Detroit? He didn't do shit in Detroit, right?
Not really. I think
he's done.
Then he went to Miami for a little quick second, I believe. But yeah, man, Tom made those guys a little bit of money. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, man. That's great. He took care of his guys, man. Yeah, Amendola is a free agent still in the league, but yeah. Oh, this is the chick he was dating?
Yeah, Olivia Culpo.
Olivia Culpo, yeah.
She dates
McCaffrey
now, right before the little big deal he got.
These NBA players, these athletes are so funny.
I know, dude. I don't get it, man. I'm not fucking with no chick that used to fuck with another motherfucker in the league, bro. It's
especially because you don't have to. Like you're Danny Amendola. It's like, or Christian McCaffrey. You can do whatever you got to do.
Straight. But I guess, man. When you start talking to these chicks, I guess you can find them. But man,
you can find
a lot of these chicks used to fuck with somebody in some league.
That's why you gotta ask.
Hoopers,
all right, man. Let me
NFL, hockey.
Well, if it's hockey, it's like, I forget about it. It's all good, man. We'll never cross paths.
Yeah. But yeah, bro, I don't get that either, man. I really don't understand that at all.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. But that's No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. What's the date, man? Tuesday, April 13th. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. Rock with us, YouTube, iTunes. Tell the homies, tell the friends. Pass it along. For Big Nick the Quick, No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. We're out of here.